my God, this is a really nice camera. Maybe I should switch. Not gonna lie, I've wanted to throw it out the window a few times. I am gonna get a lot of hate in the comments, I can feel it. People think that I'm sponsored by Lumix and that they pay me to say nice things about them. They don't. It's not true. Yes, they send me cameras to test, but they do not tell me what videos to make or what to say. So in this video, I want to discuss the 6 things that I actually don't like about this camera, but why I still continue to use it above everything else despite those things. Because it's a very interesting and important discussion to have, I think. And let's face it, the perfect camera doesn't exist. So it's natural to have things that bug you or bother you, or that you'd like to change about what camera you have. And I'm more than happy to admit that. So do you think the perfect camera exists? Let me know in the comments. If you do, let me know what it is and why. But for me, the Lumix S5 II is my almost perfect camera. I'm also going to tell you what I think Lumix should do, or what they should bring out, or at least what I'd really like to see in the next few years for Lumix. But let me start by telling you about the things that really me off about this camera. And Mr. or Mrs. Lumix, if you're watching, please fix these little things. They're only small, and if you could change just these few little bits, it'd be epic and it'd make it the best camera that I've ever used. And I've used quite a lot of cameras. So if you're filming live events or anything really, it's important to work quickly and smoothly. You don't want anything that stands in your way. That's why a lot of people use the iPhone, because it's intuitive, it's fast to use, it just works. And we want the same thing with a camera. We don't want anything to stand in our way. We don't want to miss any moment. But what I have found is, I don't know if it's the processor or what, but sometimes when I switch the camera on, it's quite slow to turn on. When I press record, it's a little bit slow to start. And then when you stop recording, it takes a few seconds for it to write to the memory card. Now I'm using the fastest memory cards that you can with this camera. There's a bit of a lag there. Sometimes you want to start filming again instantly once you've stopped to clip, and you press the record button and it's still writing to the memory card and it slows you down. That needs to change. I want to see a faster system. I want to be able to make changes quicker. I want to be able to start and stop recording quicker to make sure that I don't miss anything. It's just a little bit slow. I know this is more affordable than a lot of other cameras out there that you can buy, but that's one of the things that's separating it from other systems that I've used, I think. Rather see an update or an upgrade in the next camera that focuses on these issues rather than something entirely new. If we can just fix this, that's all we need. As a YouTuber, I often film alone and take thumbnail pictures as well, and that's difficult to do all by yourself. And having an app on your phone that connects with the camera so that you can control the camera is an absolute godsend when it works. When it works great, but when it doesn't, it's a pain in the body. It's slow to connect, it loses connection. Sometimes it's just unreliable. That's the thing. Sometimes it connects better indoors than it does outdoors. You know, most of the time you want to be using that outdoors. I will be fair though, I've used other camera systems apps and it's the same across the board, and I've heard other people talk about the apps, they never use them. But it's a feature, it's available, it just needs to be updated. It needs to be able to work because it's great. It's amazing when it works. It really helps. I use it in a very simple way. I use it to change a few settings, start and stop recording, or take photos, and that's it. That's all it needs to do. I just want to establish a connection with the camera. I want it to be stable, and that's it. If we spend a bit of time focusing on that, getting that right, amazing. Not gonna lie, I've wanted to throw it out the window a few times, because all I want to do is take a couple of thumbnail photos that should take a couple of seconds, and then it's dipping in and out of connection, and it's frustrating. Now, this feature I rarely use, but I know a lot of people do, and a lot of people rely on it. Most of the time, people use this mode and that mode alone. So the S5 II does have 50 frames a second, slow motion, but there's a crop. So we're not getting that full field of view anymore. It doesn't bother me, but because there's a crop, sometimes you have to move back a little bit to make sure that you've got the right framing that you need. And when you haven't got the space, that can be tricky. So it'd be nice if it was full frame. But the main reason for me is just to keep the Sony fans quiet. Should we just be quiet about it? The thing is with slow-mo is people feel like they have to use it, and they end up using it as a default. It's almost a bit of a cheat code. So, I don't know. I don't ever miss it whatsoever. Maybe there's a reason why there is a crop. I don't know much about technical stuff, but Is it something to do with the sensor, the speeds? I don't know. Is there a compromise if it's full frame? I'm not sure. Nonetheless, if they had 120 frames per second in here full frame and 50 full frame, I think they'd see a lot of people switching to this system over the Sonys, for example. So when you're filming with the S5 Mark II, I noticed that there's 2 audio tracks instead of the one. So I find myself having to mute one of the audio tracks so that it's not duplicated and causing my audio to clip. It's not a big deal, but every time I go into the editor, I have to mute that track and it's just wastes a little bit of time. Hopefully it's just a quick fix and it's not a stereo thing. I've gone into the menus. Maybe I'm missing something, I don't know. But that's just a teeny tiny little thing. The image quality of the lenses are really, really nice, especially for the price. I love the fact that all the prime lenses are the same size and a very similar weight, because that means you don't have to rebalance on a gimbal. Everything just feels comfortable and natural because there's no changes when you switch lenses. And they're extremely well designed. As I said, image quality, spectacular. Even the kit lens is really nice. However, if you're coming from Canon or Sony, for example, you're gonna notice that the lenses look a little bit cheap and feel a little bit plasticky. And because a lot of people buy with their eyes, it makes them feel like they're not as premium as they are. And that's disappointing, really, because it's not until you use these lenses and look at the image that you realize how good they are, and it could put a lot of people off. I'd love to see a lens lineup where it has a manual aperture ring as well as the focus ring, and just a little bit more of a premium feel, I think. Having said this, I've dropped these cameras a few times and I've never once broken one. So, you know, maybe they are fine. And this is the thing, the overall image quality is good enough that I don't let the look of those lenses bother me. But when you show a snobby other camera user these lenses, they turn their nose up at them a little bit and they're like, oh, that's cheap, you know, just saying. Using these tools every day means that you want it to be comfortable and also feel good to use. And that's gonna do 2 things. It's gonna make your job easier, and it's also gonna make you feel a little bit more inspired to pick the camera up and go out and film and enjoy it more. So I was in Wex the other day and I was... Sorry, Lumix, you're gonna hate me, but I picked up the FX30. I've messed about with the FX3 a few times, and they feel like such nice cameras. It's a really premium feeling camera. It's nice to hold. All the buttons and the dials feel like it premium, basically. They're extremely well designed and the quality is stellar. I must say it's the nicest feeling camera of this size. In comparison, you know, I'm not saying the Lumix is bad. It's very well made, it's durable. As I said, I've dropped it a bunch of times, no damage, luckily. But when it comes to the dials, they feel fine. But in comparison to some of the newer Sony cameras, there is a difference there. Now, obviously it's not a deal breaker. It's really not for me, but I know some people think about that stuff. Personally, when I picked up the FX3, it made me think, oh my God, this is a really nice camera. Maybe I should switch. Maybe I should get a Sony. But fear not, because I quickly realized, don't just choose a camera based on how it feels. That's the worst thing to do. People are easily led down that path. At the end of the day, it's how the image looks. It's the end product that counts. Yes, the usability and the feel of the camera needs to be good if you're using it every day, but the end product is what matters, right? And because the Lumix Vlog image is everything I ever wanted from a camera, easy to color grade, great dynamic range, it looks fantastic. I've used Lumix ever since because I love the image every single time I put it into my editor, even over some of the higher end cinema cameras that I've used, because this has ease of use and image quality and colors. And what I really like is, you know, when you first switching camera systems, it takes a little bit of time to get used to the menus, and that was what I talked about in my first video I ever made about Lumix. But actually, after a few hours, it made total sense and it's easy to navigate, in my opinion. It's intuitive, but the best thing about it is, yeah, you've got your standard picture profiles, but then you've got Vlog, and that's it. There's no other combinations, there's no other pairings that you can use. You get a Lumix camera, you get Vlog, it's that look of that camera. And that's what you want when you buy a camera. Oh, that looks like a Blackmagic, that looks like an Arri camera, that looks like Canon, that looks like Lumix. Sony, you've got a million different combinations of picture profiles and log profiles, and it can cause a little bit of paralysis by analysis. You're not sure if the one you've chosen is the right one. You're always going to be thinking, oh, maybe I should use that one, instead of focusing on your skills. So something with just one thing in, set it, leave it, go out and film, done. I like it, simplicity. So this is what I would love to see in the next year or two with Lumix. I'd like them to bring out an FX3 rival, an FX30 rival as well. The S5 Mark II with a few more video-centric features like slow motion for the more video-centric people like myself. It's got all the monitoring features on it that you'd need, love that, but maybe just in a mini cinema camera body like the FX3. With a handle on it, that'd be great. I'd love that. A more premium feel with the dials and the buttons. And then maybe a slightly bigger box camera like a Blackmagic Ursa Mini or a Sony FX6 with the built-in variable ND filters, something like that. I feel like it would really, I know Lumix are known for like having really good video features and image anyway, but I just feel like they just need to bump it up to that next level to compete with, you know, Sony, let's just say. Lumix, they've got the image, they've got the features, just need to take it to that next level, I think. Lastly, what is your favourite camera and why? Let us know in the comments. I love hearing about what people prefer to use and the reasons why. And have you ever thought about switching and why? Or if you didn't, why didn't you? By the way, I've got a cool little setup with the new DJI LiDAR Focus Pro system and the Lumix S5 actually. So if you want to see that, check that video out here. Until then, and if not, you know, I'll wait for you in the next one.